So there's a study, I guess, that has been going around. You guys might have seen this, where they're basically like, we can try to recreate dreams visually. Like you could put this thing on and you can dream, and this group of people can like, isn't that weird?
I don't think that's a recreate in what way?
That's
Video?
Yeah, video.
I don't want it.
Well, also I think if they sat me down, put the helmet on me,
It would melt.
They were like, think of a flower. I don't even think they could do that.
No, well, your flower's filthy. Your flower is just... It's very... I forgot her name. The artist that drew vagina flowers.
Oh, yeah.
Georgia O'Keeffe.
Thank you.
All right, ready?
Which, by the way, if you're going to do a vagina-based kind of art, maybe don't have a last name that rhymes so easily.
Yeah.
All right, let's see.
With another thing.
I want to put visualize. This article, I keep seeing it pop up on all these different things. Shit.
I am skeptical of the ability to read people's brains
That's what I said.
and recreate it in a visual medium.
Yeah.
I don't understand either. I'm just like, how is this? I just don't understand how it's possible. It just doesn't make any sense to me to turn it into video. It's like, you could be like, you got very anxious at this point in time. You seemed this at this point in time. But the idea of visualizing dreams, it seems impossible. But I think to cowboys, television seems impossible.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I'm wondering, like...
You're going to broadcast an image through the air?
Like, I get the idea of like...
Where's the studio?
See, this is...
New York City!
That's the thing is, like, I get the idea that, like, you know, we can't really predict technology. We can say, this is going in this direction. They're probably going to do this. They're probably going to do this. But there will be stuff to us that right now we're like, no way.
Sure.
That's completely impossible.
Yeah.
And it's weird because, you know, how much of that are we going to live through? This is the reason I kind of brought it up. Technology is moving way faster from, like, let's say 2000 to 2025 than it did from like 1900 to 2000.
Yes.
Here's a weird part of that, though. Like, I've been thinking about this idea lately, which is interesting that you brought this up, because I think the advancement that is made, I do think we've kind of stalled out. And I think the advancements are more now honing pre-existing things digitally than making a new thing. Does that make sense?
Maybe. I wonder about, like, medical technology that maybe we're not privy to. That's probably a thing.
I guess I'm thinking in terms of, like, cell phones, right? Like, cell phones, there was a huge amount of steps forward. It felt like every year we were making big steps forward in, like, the technology of a cell phone, right?
Yes.
Then I feel like we got to the iPhone and, like, the a smartphone
in general,
flat brick of a phone,
right?
And they all basically are that.
Yes.
And the only advancements we're really making are, like, fine-tuning things. Like, it's got a little bit faster chip now.
Yeah. It's got a better camera.
It's got a better camera. The screen is sharper now. It's OLED. And then I think the only advancement stuff now feels more like this one folds.
Yeah.
So it's a bigger flat when you want that. But now it's a little thicker flat.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that stuff happens. And I think, like, with computers, we've gotten to a place where it is more like, how thin can we make it? Like, that kind of stuff. We aren't seeing, like, that leap from... I mean, even just, like, earlier, like, television stuff, when flat screens started coming out and they're bigger and bigger, and the quality of that. But we're back to that, like, it's got blacker blacks and it's sharper, sharp. You know?
I think a huge part of technology that is, like, a backbone of it is that everything gets smaller, and you can't really conceptualize how the fact that it gets smaller will be utilized in the future.
Sure, yeah.
So if you think about cameras in 1960, in terms of, like, shooting television shows, the idea of being like, this is going to get smaller, and people are like, okay. The fact that now it's in your phone is something that people couldn't predict back then.
Right.
But it is that technology.
Sure, yeah. I worry, though, that, like, basically post 2010, we've kind of gotten a little stuck in a rut of like big advancement. Like I think the difference between like decades,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
60 to 70, wow. 70 to 80, wow. 80 to 90, same thing. 90 to 2000, oh my God. And then it kind of just starts to slow down.
I think there's studies about how from 2000 to 2025, it's like 100 times more than 1900 to 2000. It's like a kind of a fact. And I wonder about the idea of like, I had my spine surgery in 2011 and it was like 7-inch incision. We're doing this. We're picking up your nerve cluster. They told me.
Yeah.
And when I had it 3 years ago, no incisions. It was just the laparoscopic stuff. And I wonder if that's part of the technological advancements. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
You know, it's a weird thing.
Yeah.
But I was like, and I'm in my head, I'm like, dreams, no way. And then I'm like, wait a minute. Do I just not understand the technology?
I don't buy it.
That's how I
That sounds
feel.
insane. I feel like before you can get to visualized dream, you have to be able to get to visualized conscious thought.
That's what I was thinking about the flower.
Yeah.
You know, which is simple. It's simplified. There's no
Right.
progression. There's no change. But yeah, I mean, it's funny. My grandfather is 100. He just turned 100. And I called him a little while ago. This is probably like 2 years ago. And he said this thing and I was confused. And then I thought about it. I went to go pick him up for lunch. And it was probably February. And he said to me, do you have heat in your car? And I'm like, yeah. What do you? And I didn't think. I was like, yeah, of course. And then later I'm like, he grew up with cars that had no heat. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
But it is kind of weird that it's 2023 and he's still asking.
Sure,
Because I
yeah.
think it's been a while.
I mean, at that point,
yes, I know.
at that age,
I know.
I wouldn't. You have to just let go the idea of any question.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
know.
Yeah.
He's pretty good though. He's
Yeah.
pretty good. There's not a ton of stuff that he's like that about, you know.
He did try and hand crank your car to start it though. That was weird.
And it worked.
Yeah. Well, he ruined the grill.
Yeah.
He
Yes.
came over my house and it was on the railroad track where he had the two things.
Yeah,
you
the
know
pump
what I mean?
thing, yeah.
Brad was on the other side.
Yeah. Well, it was his.
my
It was
engineer
his
hat.
cart.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
You
think
did sing some beautiful slave songs.
I
though,
did.
when you did that.
I think a lot of technological advancement is not necessarily happening in the field of consumer electronics, which is
right.
what we deal
Yeah,
with.
that's what I was.
And then in terms of, it's weird because don't they have like brain implants that are like, oh, I can think, or a brain cap, and I can move this electronic arm.
I think you can do
in
that.
rudimentary ways, or like
Yeah.
the Neuralink does this.
But
there's
that's
a lot
more-
going on that I don't know.
That's connected to like nerve signals,
Right.
Right.
Not
Not the brain.
visualizing
Right.
thought.
That's what's tough for me.
Yeah.
That's what's tough for me.
I think the important thing is that just we have a presidential administration that is like, we care about science and research, and we're going to continue to fund.
Yeah, and thank God we do have that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because can you imagine if we had a White House organization that was like, we don't care about science, we're dumb about vaccines,
Yeah.
we have obviously unqualified people in
Well,
positions of power.
I feel relief knowing that if there's another huge pandemic, another global disease issue, virus, what have you, I feel comforted knowing that the safety information, any of the actual information that I will receive,
Yes.
will come from one of two voices.
Yes.
Both soothing,
Yes.
comforting. They make me feel safe.
Non-confrontational.
Non-confrontational, intelligent, thought out.
yeah.
You know,
Neither of them
empathetic.
are powered by brainworms.
Right.
Yeah.
I love the fact to get scientific information. Oh, a man who sounds like he's constantly shitting his own balls out of his body. You know, I really like that. Or you get the guy that's like, what if we put flashlights in the blood?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That feels good. I think the two of them together coming up with a plan.
We're safe.
I feel good.
Yeah.
I feel good.
Yeah.
Knowing.
I don't want to continue the cold open.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about anti-vaxxers, and I'm like, did they give their dogs vaccines?
No. No.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, actually, that was a joke in a recent thing I just saw. Oh no, I can't remember where it came from, but they said, "Oh, by the way, the dog's owners are anti-vax, so you're going to need a lot of shots." What was that in? It was in the most recent season of Hacks.
Got it.
Oh yeah.
And because there's a dog on set, and the dog bites one of the guys, and he's like,
That's
"Oh my God,
funny.
the dog," and she's like, "Yeah, that's the third person on set. This dog is vicious." She's like, "By the way, the owners, they're anti-vax." So-
That's
great.
funny.
yeah. Oh, I think dog owners are Like, I'm a dog owner, but I know other dog owners where I'm like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? What do you do? I'm always fascinated by the dog owners that are like, no. You see my dog's huge balls? I like that. Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't want those to go away. That is a weird thing. There are people that are like, no. No.
Yeah.
They're like the men's rights guys that are like, I can't believe you circumcised me against my will.
Yeah.
Babies can't consent, you know? And they're like, don't mutilate a dog. I'm
Yeah.
like, that dog mutilates itself. Yeah.
Ready, Brad? I know he's waiting for it. I know he's waiting with bated breath.
It's fun looking at somebody whose eyes are very much just shut up. It's fun. It's very fun to do a podcast that way.
Hello.
He's like this.
You mentioned I don't want to keep the cold open going, and so I'm like, well, clearly we're pivoting to opening the actual show.
I just wanted to talk about dogs' balls for a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit
Every
of dogs'
freaking
balls.
episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Funbearable. I'm Brad Rohr.
I'm Ray. Have your pets spayed and neutered, Harrington.
And I'm Chuck, the dog ball Staten. That's a good nickname, the dog ball.
Is it?
I don't know. What does it mean?
Oh, there's a knock at the door.
Oh.
Could it be a guest?
She's not coming on.
Sorry. Sorry, that was the vet. That was the vet. She heard what we were talking about.
Yep.
Okay. What information did she give you?
She gave me some information about dogs' bollocks.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Did she think
Posit
it
Pro or
was
no?
Chuck?
What's that?
Did she think it was the dog ball?
No, she did have some information about the dog ball part of things. And let me I'll grab the paper here. It's, that part of it is a cease and desist. Because apparently in Rhode Island, there's already, and it's a branding issue, there's already a doctor dog ball.
Got it.
He does mass neutering.
Ooh, can I do one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Just don't show the camera any actual
Ooh,
paper.
it's a cease and desist, not because of legal reasons, just because dog ball is a gross nickname.
It's a moral cease and
Yes.
desist.
Can I be honest with you guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know how I like to avoid confrontation?
Yeah.
I was going for the nickname Chuck, the dodgeball Staten,
Yeah.
and they had a typo. So now I'm just stuck.
I'll also say the dodgeball is a terrible nickname.
Yeah. Because what does it mean?
Because I'm not confrontational.
I don't know about that.
Old dodgeball over here doesn't want to talk about how he can't.
Ask me about a hot topic.
Okay. How do you feel about impending nuclear war? Oh, he just did the
throat
slash
cut,
at the
like,
neck.
let's not talk about this.
No.
I'm the dodgeball. You tried to get me, and I dodged it.
Maybe we can. Maybe he won't dodge it if we lighten it up. Chuck, what's your favorite protein to get at Burrito Place? Oh boy, dodgeball at it again.
Dodged it. Wow.
Carnitas.
Yes.
Oh,
okay.
Is it asada? So yeah, that knock at the door was not a
bit,
guys. That's not a planned thing that happened. We just had a knock at the door.
We just live in the moment.
but it was fun. We made it. We turned chicken shit into chicken food.
Well, I guess.
What was that? What is it?
Salad.
Can I tell
Chicken
you?
salad.
I think it's feed.
We are in the basement of the Rhode Island Comedy Connection
Yes.
in this studio that is also sort of an office for one of the owners of the club,
Yeah.
Corey. So when we heard a knock at the door and I went and answered the door, I did not expect a person I don't know,
Yep.
Right.
a lady
Yep.
who is just like here for a thing
Yes.
and then says, "Where's Corey?" All of that threw me
Yeah.
off.
I thought it was
I'm
gonna
like,
be-
how did you get in here?
I thought it was going to be Corey, like, oh, I just want to drop this off real quick.
Yeah.
Or the girl upstairs that always
Shannon.
lets us in.
Yeah, or that telegram that I have been waiting for.
Hello. That one?
That's a singing telegram. I already got that one. I'm waiting for the
I did hear that.
the legitimate one. Yeah.
But when you read this letter, you will have
Yeah.
DeLorean struck
That's
by lightning.
good. Yeah.
That really derailed me.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know where we were.
Well,
We were
yeah.
on dog balls.
Oh, okay. Thank
Dodgeball.
God that derailed me then.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm glad to be saved by the door knock, right? Yeah.
So we have some unexpected stuff on our end as well.
Last thing I'll say about that thing, I would not have been surprised because we were talking about neutering.
Yep.
If the knock at the door was a very staunch pit bull owner, right?
Oh.
Like nothing worse than the pit bull owner that is just like, they are not violent. They are perfectly kind. They need to be raised right. Also, I refuse to neuter mine.
Yeah.
Right? It is a crazy thing. And yes, I walk off leash all the time.
Yeah.
My favorite stance is the idea that Chihuahuas bite more people than pit bulls. And I'm like, let's talk about the damage of those bites.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
measure that.
Yeah.
That's my favorite one.
Oh my gosh.
No, yeah, we have some unexpected tales from the past that we've never talked about on Funbearable, and sometimes we get into these fun stories.
Unexpected tales from the past. That sounds so like. Is there theremin playing while we hear this?
It's R.L. Stein's new show on Disney
Yeah.
Plus. I like that. That'd be fun. Anyway, so we went to Warped Tour this weekend.
Yes.
Which is like this punk rock festival that used to be every year for a long time. Probably started like in 1995. I was way too young to go back then, and I started going probably in 2001.
I was too old to go.
Yeah, I was too young to go. Did I say old or young?
You were correct, and then I made a joke about me being old.
I'm so rarely correct that I'm happy about this.
And I tried to go, but they told me I didn't own enough tech decks.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I was not allowed to go until I could ollie successfully with my fingers.
Oh, that's what a tech deck is? Mm-hmm. Oh, I always called them fingerboards.
Yeah, I think Tech Deck is a brand of fingerboards.
Oh, cool. All right.
Yeah.
Is it
it's
kind
the
of like
Kleenex of fingerboard?
we had a huge talk about Kleenex this weekend?
Oh.
I wouldn't say huge. We talked about clean.
Well, I talked about the brand thing. It's Band-Aid, Q-Tip, Kleenex, Tech Decks.
Yep.
Anything else? Xerox we came up with.
Yep.
Sure.
It's a tough one.
Slim Jim.
That's good. Slim Jims. I think Slim
Other
Jims.
ones are beef sticks, but if you look at it, you're like, that's a Slim Jim. You know, yeah.
Oh, there's one more.
By the way,
just-
I'm not good at fingerboards.
no, I've never tried
Very
it.
good at board fingering.
I didn't want to fall
Very
down.
good at board fingering. Oh my god.
how do you spell
Ready?
board in this instance?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But I do tricks, and you can tell because you can't see it, but you'll hear.
My finger ankle.
Oh, I rolled my finger knuckle.
There was one more we thought about. Damn it. I love to think of those things. Those words that become the thing. Damn it. Oh, we had one more, but I'll think of it. Yeah, so we went to Warped Tour. They basically went away. My band actually played on the last Warped Tour before they went away.
And that's why.
Yeah, that
That's
was it.
why they went away.
Death
yeah.
knell.
That's what. So, they came back this year and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna do one. It's not gonna be the same because Warped Tour was the biggest traveling festival of all time. Like Lollapalooza, all that stuff. It's like a weekend or this many days. Warped Tour was like breaking down every day and going to a new city.
Yeah.
So they're doing this new one this year where it's just three weekends across the country over the summer. That's it. So I got Brad tickets for Christmas.
Yes.
By the way, that's the way you get Brad to do a thing. Is if you ask him, he'll say no.
Correct.
If you get it for a gift, he goes, yes, exactly. Start thinking about this.
What if it was a note in a little gift box and the note said to do something?
What about happy half birthday? Well, you could always do that. Happy
Yeah.
63% birthday. You just got to do
Yeah.
some math first.
I do love math. That's the real gift.
It is my 64% birthday.
Let's just say there's going to be some board fingering. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was in Washington D.C. That was the close date, and I was like, "This will be fun. This will be a really fun thing to do." You actually buy tickets before the bands are announced, and so I was like, "This is a little bit of
That's
a
a
risk."
gamble.
It's a real gamble.
Yes.
But we did it. Worked out.
Peter Frampton.
Yeah. Clownvis.
Yeah.
That's a reference to the ICP
Yeah.
episode. But one of my favorite bands ever is the Dance Hall Crashers, which was this ska band that's female fronted. They're amazing singers. They harmonize like every song the entire time. It's incredible. And they basically stopped playing before I got into them. So I've never seen them, and they ended up being the first band announced. So it was really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we went down to Washington D.C. Myself, Brad, and my girlfriend Natalie.
Brad hasn't been there since Jeez,
January. It was
Yeah.
early January.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
It was in the first half for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe in the first week.
It was at it was my 48% birthday.
Oh, that's right.
That's right. Yes, exactly.
Honestly, probably 49%.
That's insane.
I remember you pushed that woman into a bullet. Right? Yeah.
I mean,
Remember you wore that thing? You're like, I don't want people to know that I don't have any hair.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go in the other direction.
Yeah.
They also don't know I have horns.
yeah.
What was the? I can't remember. What was the date that you carved into that podium you have in your living room?
Like, we're not.
You know, the day that you took a shit on Nancy Pelosi's desk.
All right, first of all, I've done that multiple times.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So Brad drove down. You get there late, and
Ooh, I got caught in traffic, and I was hungry, and I sent some testy voice messages to Chuck. I'm like,
Oh, no.
I hate this. I'm gonna.
yeah, he was. Me and Natalie are like in a store, and I'm like playing. He's like, "There's pieces of shit driving around me." The fucking, he was flipping out.
Oh no.
It was, there was an element of performance to it,
Yeah.
but there was some real repressed anger finding its way out.
It was fun, but he got there late, and my friend just bought me a Switch 2, the new Nintendo Switch 2, and I also bought a 70-inch television in my new townhouse, and it has an arm, obviously, where you can it's mounted and you can take it out. So I put it 3 feet from me, and I'm playing Mario Kart. Dodging the bananas. Remember that?
Yes.
It was really crazy. I felt like I was on a ride. You know what I mean?
I got there at midnight. I'm exhausted. I'm like, I just want to go to bed. Chuck's like, check out my TV so we can play Mario Kart together for 2 hours.
Yeah.
By the way, the TV will be at full brightness, an inch and a half from your eyes.
It's like you're on a roller coaster.
It's like that.
And Chuck's throwing up all the time.
It was so fun.
I get so hot and then I throw up a little bit. This game is great.
I will say,
I'm Yoshi.
I will say, when we get to the split screen, Brad's like, "This is pretty sweet."
It was pretty great. It was pretty great.
Because we each had basically a 35-inch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're playing Mario Kart. He can't stop. We're playing till the break of dawn. Remember that?
I do. I couldn't stop because Chuck wouldn't let me off the couch.
Yeah.
So we were handcuffed together.
Yep.
No, but so the next morning we left for DC, and we're driving, we're having fun, we're kicking our. We always listen to the Goofy movie soundtrack.
Yep.
We sing on the road. You know what I mean? You know that song? Where it's like,
Sure,
oh,
yeah. Yeah.
I'd rather have detention.
I'm more bothered by the beginning of that sentence, which was we always listen to the Goofy soundtrack.
Goofy movie. We do the Goofy movie, and then on the way back,
Not the score. We're not creeps.
well, all the Powerline songs are the best.
Yeah.
We drive down Goofy movie, coming back.
Children.
Coming back, it's all the Weird Al
Two
polkas.
tweens.
All the Weird Al polkas are on the way back in a row. Give it to him. Tell the truth.
The truth is not that. It's not.
No, we have done that.
Yes.
You've listened to the Weird
Yeah.
Al polkas.
Yeah. I don't think I ever sat down and went, I'm going to listen to the Weird Al polkas now.
Well, your playlist though, don't you just go through all of them?
But see, this is the thing is you think I have that because you have it. I don't have that. I don't have
All right.
that.
But we're driving.
Yeah.
And Brad brings up this amazing tale from his youth that fell out of my brain. I forgot about. He's proud of it. He stands by it today.
All those polkas pushed it out.
yeah, I was poking him good.
There was a lot of
I was like,
polkas.
we got to talk to Ray and all the Funbears about this because Ray is going to have some comments and thoughts.
Okay.
I don't know if you let them all out, but you're going to have some thoughts and some comments.
Okay.
A comment is like a vocalized thought.
Yes.
And there are some thoughts that are not vocalized.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I feel like you're telling yourself more than me.
I just never thought about it that way. Okay, go ahead.
I've never commented about it that way either.
The year was 1992. I was
I don't know, some song from
Hey,
92.
don't touch this. Can't touch this.
I was on a class trip
Frankie, stay relaxed.
to Washington D.C. because we were talking about what's the most recent time you had been in D.C.
Yeah.
By the way,
Everyone said 8th grade.
yeah, so I was with some friends, Sean and Kevin. We're walking around, like
Chevin, yeah.
yeah, like separated from our group time. Like, oh, you can go shopping, go do this, do that, whatever. And street hustlers were a thing. And so it's
Why do I feel it's just a guy walking on the sidewalk
it is.
and Brad's like street hustler?
it's a guy
I'm
who
kidding,
was selling. He's like, hey, I can take your picture and make it look like the headline of a newspaper. And we're in 8th grade. We're like,
Yeah. Well,
yes.
this is the 70s. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, yeah.
I was like, I've only been in the newspaper for spelling bee related things.
You've seen that picture, right? Of him in the spelling bee?
Oh, yeah.
Multiple
From last
pictures.
week.
Yes.
Have you really seen it?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, good. I'm glad. He's like flipping out and holding his head.
Bugle Boys, yeah. And so, we're talking with him, and he's like, for whatever money it was, I can take your picture and make it look like you're on the front page of the newspaper. And we're like, that's the best souvenir any of us could ever think of. Like, what a great thing.
So he hands you a regular newspaper with a box cut out of it, and he's like, look through it.
No, he's like, all right, pose in front of this neutral backdrop. And, Sean is wearing a Georgetown Hoyas like bucket hat, and Kevin has his hat backwards. I had bought like an LA Kings hat on this trip, so I'm wearing that backwards.
When you're in DC.
Yep. It was so weird. So we take our pose, and
I can't even think of you in a backwards hat. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. And this guy is like, he's like, what do you want the headline to be? And we had not discussed this prior to it.
Okay.
And somehow we landed on, and again, I cannot stress how white all three of us are. Bad boy rappers take over nation. And it's 8th grade Sean, 8th grade Kevin, and 8th grade Brad.
That is a classic 8th grader thing. I'm fine with that.
It sure
I'm
is.
so fine with that.
Isn't that fun? Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Now, the street,
USA Today?
The street hustler may have overstated how much this would look like an actual newspaper headline.
This random man on the street?
I know.
If you can't trust them.
I was surprised as well, but I got it, and I remember being a little disappointed. It didn't look more like a headline, but was like, I'm like, well, this is like a cool, fun souvenir. And then it left my brain for years. And then at some point, I made the mistake of telling Chuck the story, and he's like, we have to tell it on the live podcast. We have to, and there's a visual component. So if you're not watching this, flip over to YouTube for whatever.
It's worth it.
It is worth it.
Oh, you know what? And we'll post it on our Instagram and all our social media.
I don't know that we need to do that. But here I will show Ray our bad boy rappers take over nation newspaper headline for 8th grade Brad.
Look at this.
How authentic is that headline?
That it's just green text
Yep.
that goes spilling over the whole thing.
Yep.
I will say though, Brad, I can recognize Brad
Yep.
in that photo.
Backwards hat.
Yeah.
I'll say when I showed Chuck and Natalie this weekend, Chuck was like, which one are you? I'm like, there's 3 of us.
Yeah. What an alternate world of the Beastie Boys that
Yes.
I just
Right?
saw.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yes. And if you were like, how many rap songs did you know at that age, Brad? Not many.
No.
Not many. Maybe You Can't Touch This, and that's all. But
And
yeah.
that was about spicy food.
Yes. Because
I won't touch this.
No, thank you.
So that was
I can't do the dance.
These pants are so big.
You know what's a funny sting? Just as like a punchline. That's really fun.
I fell for this weird little scam. I
That's
fell for a
okay.
different scam, and I don't have the visual component of a guy saying he would draw the 3 of us. It's late night streets of Chicago, and he had a big sketch pad. And I had a Golden State Warriors hat, and he drew, a passable version of my face, but just put a W on the hat. I'm like, that's not worth the $5 I paid for this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Put up a stink. When I went to New York City.
Oh, the home of paste, but no, different salsa,
Something.
not paste.
Yeah. Ortega, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
I remember I was in, I think, late elementary, early middle school.
Okay.
And this was like duffel bag gets thrown basically in front of you to sell you shit.
Yes.
And I bought knockoff Oakleys. I bought
Nice.
Folkleys.
Oh,
It's the 90s, baby.
That's the right age for Oakleys.
Folkleys.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? It was the 90s,
Yep.
baby. And I treated those like they were real. You know what I mean? I was like, I have to be careful with these. These are my Oakleys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got a pair of Oakleys and I
You-
had those forever.
You should get a pair of Oakleys now, and then take
No.
your profile picture sitting behind the wheel of a truck.
Yeah.
And then offer all your Red State Ray opinions.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, if
Because,
I
boy, oh, boy.
wraparounds on this face, are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah.
That guy, he's got some things to say.
Yes.
Oh
he
yeah,
does.
right into his phone, 3 inches away.
Yeah.
I know. But I do remember as being
Like
a
Chuck's
kid.
giant television.
It's almost boy crime adjacent. The view of what I saw those like street vendor things as
For
back
sure.
then.
Treasure.
It was magic.
Yeah.
Like, because it was in my head, it was like all I knew was movies and television, and it's like, so these are all like either they're knockoffs, but they're made like so well to be like these knockoff things and blah, 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 right? Or they're stolen. And it was just like I remember being
You
like,
feel
wow,
like, wow, I'm part of this world.
yeah, and it's like
Yes.
I felt like walking by these folding tables with sunglasses and like gold chains that aren't gold, and like
Yeah.
purses and stuff like that. I felt like I'm like, so this is the black market.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'm tapped in. This is a bazaar.
I went to Mexico when I
Yeah.
was in 8th grade, and we had like there's like a line of all these things on either side. Gold chain, big dollar sign.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
This
yeah,
guy,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I
You're
wish I
like-
still had
Yeah,
that.
it's the S in the dollar sign is kind of like Staten.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it was in the house fire, which stinks.
Damn, maybe it started it.
Yes.
It got real hot.
Yeah, I
know?
had 2 of them. I was
Yeah.
just-
And I think I bought a chain. I think I bought a chain from
Yes.
one of them. But yeah, I was always like, ooh, look at the little those crazy things. And I never got to experience it, but everybody always talked about it in New York. The bootleg videos.
oh yeah.
Yes.
When I was young enough, where it was like, I want a VHS copy of whatever this thing is.
Right.
I think I would have bought whatever.
Right.
If
Just-
it was
just-
still in
yeah.
the movie theater.
yeah.
Yeah.
I can watch
Oh,
this at
yeah.
home now.
But people
sure.
like got to do that. I'm like, damn, that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Oh, for
You
sure.
know?
No,
Now it's
that's-
just too easy. Now these days, you just go online, you go click, click, and you get it.
I remember Trey Parker and Matt Stone went on Conan when the South Park movie came out, which was 99, 26 years ago. It was so bizarre. It came out like after season 1, and it feels like the quality is 15 years in the future. But they were trying to put a clip on the show for Conan, and the studio didn't send them the specific clip they want because Conan O'Brien is killed in the movie. And they went down to a street vendor and bought a VHS rip of
That's
the
great.
movie, and that's how they used the clip on
That's so
Conan.
great.
So cool.
Yeah. I remember being infatuated with the idea of those bootleg movies. A friend, when I was in like middle school, his dad got a bootleg of Con Air.
Oh, now
Yeah.
that's a 90s A+ for a kid.
Yeah.
For like an
Yeah.
8th grader.
And I remember we got to watch it.
That wins Best
And-
Picture.
But it was so funny because this video was clearly ripped from or filmed on another TV. So
Yeah.
it was like a rip of a rip, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
And there was a beer bottle like in silhouette in the corner of the screen for the entire thing.
That's
That
amazing.
is
And
hilarious.
But I remember being like, that's so cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you can tell it's a bootleg because look, the beer bottle. But yeah,
That's
and
great.
That's how I experienced Con Air.
Do you like Con Air still?
I mean, I haven't seen it in a million years. I think I would like it, but for nostalgic purposes,
I think it's a real great example of 90s cheese action movies. But that did for me really imprint on like what I hope for from action movies. This felt like a wild, untamed time in cinema where they're like, yeah, Nicolas Cage rocks. Let him make whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah.
Wasn't Bruckheimer. That was The Rock, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was The Rock. Rock is really good.
Well, that's the best one of all of that stuff.
I do like
for
Face
sure.
Off, but
Yeah.
You
But
know, that's
it's-
wild.
But it's The Rock. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
The Rock rules.
I think Con Air is funny because every time I've seen a clip of it, like, you know, or I'm in a hotel flipping through channels and like that's on, you know, over the past few decades or whatever, it is always funny to me where I'll be seeing that moment and I'm like, oh yeah, John Cusack was in it.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so funny because there's a whole B plot with him.
Yep.
and the other cop guy.
Yeah. But it is funny because it's just like it's so not remembered in my head.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
it is just it's him and John Malkovich. Like that's really
Yeah.
it in my head.
You know who else is in it? Chappelle.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then Buscemi is amazing. in
Sure,
that movie.
sure.
They do the tease where it looks like he killed the little girl and then he didn't.
Yep.
So good.
Yeah.
Did you see Long Legs yet?
No, I haven't seen Long
I think
Legs.
it's worth a watch.
Sure, sure.
I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I had a street vendor experience in New York. It's a little bit more run of the mill, but it almost ended in a big confrontation, which was like,
No.
so it was in like Times Square. This is when I was young. I don't know how long ago this was. It was way before I lived in New York. And I was walking by Times Square with probably other kids, I guess, teenagers. And a guy came up to me and he's like, yo, man, he's like, I'm a rapper. He's like, I'm an inspiring artist. He's like, can I have a minute of your time to just tell you about it? I'm like, sure. He's like, yeah. He's like, I've been doing this for a long time. He goes, what's your name? What's your name? And I'm like, Chuck. And he's like, yeah. So, he's like,
I know where this is going.
And as
yeah.
he's talking, he's opening his own CD and he has a silver Sharpie.
Yep.
And he's talking to me and he's kind of doing this kind of distraction thing. And he writes to C Money on the inside and then puts his name. And he goes, yeah. He goes, so the CD is just $15. And I'm like, oh, no. I'm like, I don't want a CD. And he's like, I already autographed it for you. I personalized it. And I'm like, I don't want one. And he's like, you're going to take the CD. And I'm like, I'm not going to take the CD. And I'm like a young teenager fighting with this guy who would, for sure, A, would fight me, and B, would beat me really bad. And I was like, sorry, buddy. And I walked away. And now I'm like, was that the right attitude to have? I mean, it was okay. But like that could have gone pretty south.
No, I think you're fine.
I think I'm fine
Yeah.
too. I hope so. It was broad daylight.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you know what I mean?
And
no,
especially in a group of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's that scam.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an old scam.
I know.
For sure. Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't
would
privy
fall
to
for
before
it.
that.
I would fall for it tomorrow.
Oh
Yeah.
my god!
Yeah.
No, there's
money.
There's that
Wow.
stuff, and then in other countries, often it'll be like bracelets.
Yep. And they put it on your wrist, and you're like, no, I don't want this.
I don't want that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have. Seen
a lot
that.
of
I'll
stuff.
And
also
they
say
tighten it. They pull the string so it's
Yeah,
tight
yeah.
on your wrist.
it's it was near the Boston Aquarium. There was somebody who gave me a bracelet, and I'm like, hey, I know this is a scam. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate your hustle, but like, no,
yeah.
I'm not going to do this.
No, that's
Yep.
good. I was gonna say one more thing about because he was talking about bad boy rappers take over nation.
We did. We took over the nation. I don't know if you remember that.
How long did it take?
You know, longer than you'd think, but
Really?
yeah, but we got
Well,
there.
especially with some bad boys.
Yeah, with
You know, if you guys
people
were just rappers.
yeah, these were we were bad boy rappers. Now, when did the label Bad Boy come out? Was it named after us? Who knows?
I hope so.
Impossible to verify.
I hope you get a letter tomorrow that you have to go to court really soon and testify.
If we should get the money for Bad Boy,
But I feel like for
if we started it,
Blood money?
Brad,
yes.
bad boy rapper
Yeah.
is like Dennis the Menace. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's
He's
what
a
I
bad
meant.
boy rapper. Yeah.
He tied up that hobo.
Yeah, he did the beans.
To be fair, we were boy rappers, but we were not very good. That was
Got it.
yes.
I thought you guys were gender fluid. And you're just bad boys.
Yes.
You know?
These guys are bad at being boys.
Yeah. These boys are terrible. Yeah, that's very funny.
I was gonna say. So what grade were you in?
Eighth grade.
I feel like-
spring of '92.
Just because of our age groups, I feel like between the ages of like 12 and 15. But did you get infatuated with rap a little bit? Did it kind of like seep into your world where you're like, man, that's cool?
Bad Boy Records was founded in 1993.
1 year later,
So really,
Wow.
you're responsible for the crimes of P. Diddy.
I think so.
You're all excited.
Yeah, I mean, domino effect, absolutely.
I think so.
Yeah.
Were you like? Did you get into the culture and be like, man, this is for me?
Honestly, no. I
Really?
like there was rap I liked
For sure.
and that was fine. I had friends that like really fell into it, but I also think there was like a group of people that I in our school that like got really into it that were kind of like dickheads.
Oh,
where I
yeah.
was just like, nah, I'm good. You know what I mean?
I
was
think-
also the one riding my bike and like listening on repeat to like the Adam Scandler.
Yep.
What
Scamler.
happened?
Yeah.
You're not going to believe what happened.
That's
to
the
him.
name of the guy who tried to hustle me.
Yeah.
Adam Scamler.
Yeah, but
Good
like
rapper.
I was listening to those like over and over and over and Jerky Boys and stuff like that. So so
too.
for me, I wasn't like falling into rap at that time. I was falling into comedy. I just didn't even realize it. You know what I mean? I didn't
too.
even know it.
I think
But
I was.
I also had the dog pound. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
I was a staunch defender of hair metal. I clung on to hair metal much longer than it was culturally relevant.
Which is ironic for two reasons.
What's that?
Well, it's a harder genre music than I would expect for the character of Brad on this podcast.
That's
also,
good. Yes.
you know,
Yes.
the other reasons.
I'll take it.
Your sister's very twisted. She's so twisted.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
Every time she's shitty to me, I'm like, I'm not going to take this.
Yeah.
the Sandler seed. I had What the Hell Happened to Me, and the first one was They're All Gonna Laugh at You. My parents got me both, and they were in my mom's car as cassette tapes at the time. I had my little Walkman, and I came home from school one day, and my mom is like, "I listened to those tapes, and you are never listening to them again." She goes, "I was embarrassed alone in the car," and I was like, "Ugh," and I felt really, really
You're like,
bad.
was it the goat?
It was the Hanukkah song.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I love those.
I used to listen to those like crazy, and then I would use my little boombox that had 2 decks, and I would like record my own audio along with stuff that was in it to
Nice.
play with stuff there.
Yeah.
That's where I was at. You
Yeah.
know, but yeah, I had plenty of friends that were like super into rap because that's the era. You know what I mean? That's when
Yeah.
like gangster rap was like a thing.
I was like, no rap, no grunge, no alternative. Like Def Leppard is the pinnacle of music, and if you can't accept it, that's on you. I also I had the irritating gatekeeping mindset. And have mostly grown out of it.
What hair metal, like you just mentioned Def Leppard, but
Yeah.
what other
Crew.
bands were you listening to?
Oh, I listened to Slaughter, Winger.
you know Slaughter's actually pronounced Slafter.
Yes, Mark Slafter was the lead singer.
Yeah.
The Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey soundtrack.
I mean,
Yeah.
everybody shut up.
Yeah.
Because that's amazing. So
Yes.
I listened, along with those, that fucking tape was in my Walkman
Yep.
like permanently.
Yeah.
You could glue the case closed and I'd be so happy. It's at a point today, because I've played some of that for Finn.
Yep.
But today I could hear one of those songs, and when it ends, in my head I'm like, well, this is what's next.
Yeah.
Oh
It's this one that's next.
for sure.
This is the next song.
Just-
The Dumber and Dumber soundtrack was that
Yeah.
for me too.
Yeah.
That was one of them. The Beavis and Butthead soundtrack was great.
Bridges of Madison County.
Yep.
Yeah.
That soundtrack. I listened to the Bridges soundtrack so many times. Bridges, Mystic Pizza.
What are some of your favorite songs off the Bridges of Madison County soundtrack?
Oh God, Big Red one. The covered one. That's a cover. Closed for Construction.
Yep.
What else? What else? Oh, and then there were a couple that just didn't. I didn't really dig them. They were about peers. Yeah, I'm like, come on, they don't even go anywhere.
Yeah.
A peer is just a dead end bridge, guys.
Yeah,
it's true.
and
When you-
then
when you-
Clint
when you
Eastwood
think-
punched me.
Yes, that sounds right.
He punched me.
Yeah.
It's kind of an interesting thing. Like Sandler he came out with a lot of those albums. Like the first 2 were the ones I was most into, I think.
Yeah.
And then there was like Stan and Judy's Kid and different ones.
After those 2, I was kind of like, that's
In and
where
out.
I'm at. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting to think about his career and I never have, but looking at the timeline of movies and those albums. It's really interesting because everyone kind of thinks about him as like, Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore are great. And then he kind of went soft until Grown Ups, which is like not very good.
The Grown Ups era.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like, how did this thing get there? Like, was he making one of his super dirty albums and then 50 First Dates?
Right.
You know what I
right.
mean? I wonder
Yeah.
if that was like a dichotomy in his career at that time. I have to think about it. But the rap thing, like he had that Bad Boy Rappers thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you had a rap name, right?
B-Rad. It's got to be.
Easy B.
Easy B. Sir,
Yes.
you are not easy. You are not easy in any way.
Complicated B.
Yeah. Like tight B. Oh no, that sounds different. That sounds different, right?
But accurate.
Yo, what's up? I'm tight B.
Yeah. And then you just hear like that. I'm tight B.
At first he goes,
Oh no, I gotta go.
I love Easy
He
B.
shuffles off stage very quickly, and then MC Hammer sees that and he's like, That's a great
That's
dance.
the dance.
That's the Brad shit himself dance. Oh.
That's why the pants had to be so voluminous.
Yeah.
So dumb.
But it is very funny.
Yeah. I love the name Easy B.
Easy B is so funny because, like pursuing you romantically, not easy. You know, you don't give it up. You're tight.
Yeah, type B.
And then just being like, just easy go with the flow. There's no go with the flow.
Nothing easy about that.
you like to fight
It's
against the
stopped
current.
up. Yeah.
So I also dabbled in this world where like I loved, we did grow up at different times. Like I was in freshman year in 1999. So that's really different than 8th grade in 92. So for me, it was Bad Boy. And it was like Notorious B.I.G. Eminem came out, I think around that time. I think the first album was like 98, whatever. But I also would like write rap songs with my friends, like my buddy Brian Bowman. We would just like at one point we went to New Hampshire.
Not Brian Bowden.
No.
Different person.
I would write some rap songs with him though. That'd be fun.
I think you're gonna have to tell him like we can't say all of those words.
Yeah,
you know
I think
what I mean?
so too. Yeah. But we went on a trip to New Hampshire and we wrote a ton of rap songs. And I showed Brad the lyrics one time, and he has a favorite lyric of ours, and he says it once in a while because we had so little world experience and so little things to rap about in our lives. And
that's every suburban white kid getting into rap at that time.
12 or 13.
That's why it took me, Sean, and Kevin so long to take over the nation.
Yeah.
So one of the lyrics,
First, we go after the parents.
one of the lyrics was like,
teachers.
We went to a restaurant and ordered some Cokes.
Oh, no, you told me this already. Yeah,
I guess we're a couple of
blokes.
Coke drinking blokes.
And that's in a rap. Not a children's book.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not in a picture book, right? We drank some Cokes. I guess we're Coke drinking blokes, right? Like that's the page of the book. You know what I mean? And then they find a turtle.
That was probably in there. I gotta be
Who
honest.
runs hurdles. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Well, I grew up in Maine.
Yes.
And so it's a very white state, right? I had black friends, and so like being around rap in that way was like fine.
Yeah.
But there were so many white boys that were just like, I'm going to adopt this entire personality.
Yes. Oh my
And so I think part of that turned me off a little bit.
Yeah.
Part of me was just like when dude, in our high school, there was like a group of white boys who gave themselves, this was around that Eminem era of the G Unit and shit like that.
Yeah, 50 Cent.
Yeah, and so they had their own name. It was, I can't even fucking remember, but it was like
The B unit.
right. It was essentially like, oh,
just
hey,
me.
there's 9 white boys that are fucking shitty.
Yeah.
And so now they're this, and those are the kids that like beat the shit out of this other kid, and it's a
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
thing, and it. So for me, I was just like, this is fucking dumb. You live in Kittery, Maine.
Well, it's funny. I think that there were the kids at the time.
Guys, don't tell anybody because then I'll have gang violence done on me.
I think there were kids at the time, and I think I was one of these kids where it's like I truly do think this song is great, and I like this artist, I like this, and then you're like, I want to partake in this. I know I don't belong, so I'm going to have a little bit more of a comedic slant. So you're like, I'll try to write a couple rhymes that are fun, but also it's mostly about making fun of me as part of it.
You know what though? I feel like it's more obvious when it is a little white boy getting into rap.
Yeah.
It's more it's a more obvious difference.
Yeah.
But I think pretty much everything at that age that you do get into that is made by adults, in some way you're a fraud.
Yeah.
I think so too.
In some
Yes.
way you're trying on a part of your personality.
For sure. And I
Yeah.
think that that's appropriate. at that time. You know
Oh,
what I
of
mean?
course, yeah.
Definitely not like me trying to write Dave Barry-esque columns when I was in 8th grade.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
That seems more like a Brad Pursuit than Easy B.
Yeah,
That's for
that's
sure.
true. That is true.
Dave Barry seems so soft,
Yes.
and family friendly that I think that that's a little bit
Yeah.
more
Right,
like you could go down this road.
I'm solely aping the style of a Dave and
Yeah.
like making those style
For an
jokes
eighth grader.
that I don't really
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah. You know what is funny? Dave Barry is such an odd thing.
Yeah.
For sure.
The fact that Dave Barry became a huge thing at that time. I remember reading a bunch of Dave Barry, but it's weird because it's like, yeah, he was a syndicated newspaper column guy,
Yep.
and then he wrote some books, and then a lot of the books were collections of the articles,
Yep.
and then he
That-
did fiction.
Wrote a movie.
Yeah.
And had a TV show like based on it. Like
It's very strange.
that's a lot for a newspaper.
It's like
columnist.
he's the human Garfield.
yes,
He is the human
in
Garfield.
many ways.
He's the human Garfield.
So, was there a Dave Barry adjacent guy who wrote stories about Florida that had fish in every title?
Well,
Dave Barry did one.
I think we've asked about this before, and we determined there was, and it was like the tarpaulin, who the murder of the marlin.
It
or
was
something like
yeah,
that.
it was very very light, like
Yeah.
Murder She Wrote type of mysteries. I
Yeah.
think, and I read a ton of those.
Have you been watching the new reboot?
No,
Murder They Wrote.
I love when you
2025.
I love when you sink into yourself.
I know. I really do. It's my version of Mazzy Star's "Fade Into You."
Yes.
It's- I sink into myself.
I love that song.
That is a great song.
The last thing I'll say about our rap phases, all three of us.
Yes.
Your look.
Did I have a rap phase?
After-
you know what though, I take it back. There was a rap album.
Yeah.
No, two rap albums. I obviously the Dog Pound.
Yeah.
I had that. But when I was in elementary school, living in York, Maine, I remember riding my bike around and I would listen to the MC Hammer album, that the Too Legit and
Yep.
Can't
Oh,
Touch
yeah.
This, all that stuff. And just really loving the shit out of it.
Yes.
That was the one that also had the Addams Family song on it.
Yeah.
And I remember being so thrilled and trying to explain to my mom like how cool it is that he can talk so quick and go like that when he's talking. Some butter. Right? And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
He said butter weird.
Yeah.
Right? There was that. And then Young MC.
Yeah.
I listened to a bunch of
That's
Young
the move.
MC as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I was really into Bad Boy. I was really into. I think probably because it was a collective.
Yeah.
it was easier to keep finding stuff. It was like Big, Puff Daddy, Mace, Lil Kim, all those people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was really into their videos. And by the way, side note, I don't know if I'm ever going to stop listening to Mo Money, Mo Problems and those songs, regardless of how much all this Puff Daddy stuff keeps happening. I don't know what to do.
I think I can't remember who said this, but they kind of talked about this, art versus artist thing in terms of if I liked this way before the allegations came out, anything before the allegations, I'm allowed to still like.
Yeah.
That's good.
And
I
I
mean,
was like, I guess. I mean, there's no right answer here, right? There's no right or wrong.
you know what I think, though? A good point is if the person turns out to be a complete fraud in what they were presenting, I think that affects it too. Like the Bill Cosby show is more awkward to watch now than it is to listen to like Thriller.
Oh yeah,
I think so.
That's a different thing too, because then you're getting into the idea of like music,
Yes.
where it's just like it's a song, you're into the beat, you're doing the
Yeah,
thing.
there's a lot of other
versus
things.
watching that person, because the Cosby Show was literally a vehicle for Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that makes it harder too, right?
Yeah, that makes it harder. I agree.
Yeah.
But I was so into the Bad Boy videos, and like, Mace had Feel So Good, and they had My Money or Problems, and they were wearing these silk basketball jerseys.
I remember this story
They were
as
like
well.
black. Oh, you remember this story?
Yeah, we've said all of these things in your kitchen on the show Funbearable.
On Funbearable?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
You asked your mom and she had to take you
Yes,
to get
yes.
the shirt.
Oh, that's funny.
Which, if you have a picture of it, I would like to see it.
Well, we couldn't find them. I don't know if they really existed as consumer products.
Yeah.
Because that was probably expensive to produce silk jerseys, and how popular would they be?
I think they would have sold very well.
I'll say
Slavery.
like being reminded of the story really gives a lens as to why Chuck has been sending us those emails about like new Funbearable merch ideas. But it's just one idea.
And I had said I don't feel comfortable as a large man wearing one color all over my body and having it be shiny and slick. You know what I mean?
Like a seal?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or a sea lion?
Or seal.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess it's the same kind of.
Well, no, I'm talking about the singer.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
I
the one
see.
who has been kissed by a rose.
I think so. That's why he has the scars. Is that right?
Yep, it is.
Cool.
Yeah, let's move on.
Here's a crazy thing. The relief map of his cheeks, same on the inner thighs of Heidi Klum. Isn't that weird?
That's how they knew they were faded.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's like Lego.
Real odd Thomas situation there.
I'll tell you.
Book reference that nobody's going to get.
Hey, Thomas isn't that odd. He's a lovely little tank engine that takes people around Sodor.
I'll tell you one postscript that I don't think I said before.
Yeah.
We couldn't find the jerseys, as I told you. And what I settled on was a felt green Yankees, Nike jacket with short sleeves.
Ugh.
I have pictures of it.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
disgusting.
Yeah, that's pretty.
It's
pretty
truly
rough.
reprehensible.
Yeah.
Not only that, but it's not even remotely similar to what I was looking for in the first place. It's almost antithetical.
Yeah.
But I mean, isn't so much of that like of its time too?
Yes.
I walked around with a fucking Orlando Magic hat, and I'm like, don't bend the brim. You know what I mean? Like, it was so dumb.
Oh, I'd love to see that.
Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous. But I did love the Charlotte Hornets, so I had a lot of Charlotte Hornets shit.
Of course. Well,
Oh,
it's
that
teal.
big jacket. Woo.
No, listen,
Grandmama.
I never, ever got to have the starter jacket.
That was the coolest.
I never got the starter jacket.
Did you ever
because
have
I
the
was-
locker, the plastic locker? My cousin had
No.
my cousin. It was
I grew up the poor, and so I could only covet starter jacket.
Yes.
I was never able to have that big pouch pocket.
Yeah,
I couldn't.
hear
I never got to swish when I walked.
ya. I get it.
It really killed me. Did you have a starter jacket?
No, I didn't because I never was super into a team. Like I would root for the Celtics because it was local and because I would play basketball all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
I would play all the time. And my cousins who I played with, Christian and John, and my brother Denny, were super into the Celtics. So I kind of was just like, yeah, Celtics. But I never really cared about the wear.
I wanted
the
that
clothing.
Charlotte Hornets starter jacket.
That was everyone's favorite. I mean, the Charlotte Hornets mascot was the coolest drawing of a mascot at
Yeah.
the time, for sure.
Yeah.
Chicago Bulls was up there, though. That was a
Oh,
cool
sure,
one.
sure.
That was a big
I
one.
think I had a starter windbreaker, like in that style, but probably not as cool, like a Chicago Blackhawks. And I think my brother did have the Hornets one. I had wanted the shiny starter jacket that was not a windbreaker, is a little heavier than that. And my mom was like, no. So the compromise was these lighter starter jackets.
Yeah.
I think my brother had a Buffalo Bills one and a Charlotte Hornets one.
Man, there were so many things back then that I truly I was just like, God damn, like all the stuff that would happen to a lead young fucking kid in a movie.
Yeah.
That they're like, oh, they want this thing, this one thing.
Oh, yeah.
It was like that for all of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, growing up without any money and being like, can I? And my mom just being like, no. What, are you insane? She's like, but what about this? You don't need a starter jacket. What about this thrift store Maine sweatshirt? Don't
Yep.
you want that? Yeah, I want to wear the oversized sweatshirt that says Maine on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Living in Maine. That's true.
I
And
know, I
had that
get it.
stupid sweatshirt, and I had to be like, no, I like it, and I wanted it.
Yeah, I know.
And having kids be like, why the fuck are you wearing a Maine sweatshirt?
Yeah.
You know, oh man, it killed me. All those little things. There were these pencil cases
Oh, yeah.
that were crazy. They were plastic, and it had like you press little buttons and compartments would open, and like
It would, like,
everybody
swing out?
Yeah, and all the kids in my class had them, and I was just like, I'm fine. I don't need that.
You just cry into one of them.
Yeah, oh man, there's so many things like that where I think back. But the starter jacket was That was a big one. Yeah,
Trapper Keepers for me was the biggest one.
Did you have designer Trapper Keepers?
I had the Trapper Keepers. There was I don't know who made them, but I remember them so clearly. It's insane. It was animals,
right?
Like realistic type animals, like painted, playing different sports. So it was a warthog, like with like a basketball. There was a gorilla. There was all different ones with every different sport. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I had the warthog with the basketball.
I did get a Trapper Keeper.
Yes.
But it was only because it came with a subscription thing that I got as like a present, like a Christmas present or something for some National Geographic like kids thing.
Oh, love it.
That's cool.
And so my Trapper Keeper was a National Geographic like wildlife thing. Mm-hmm. It sounds neat.
Yes, it does.
But when you are a like third grader, it's not neat. It's not neat. Everybody's got cool ones, and I'm like, mine has like a cheetah and an elephant and a pelican, and
my Trapper Keeper was plain blue.
They're like, come on, Brad, there's thousands to choose from.
Yeah, and he goes, I'm a boy. Yeah. And he picks up the blue one. He's like, this is fine.
But it's light blue because I'm a and then I'm like, I'll get a light blue because I'm a bad boy.
Excuse me, do you have any of these in brown?
Yes. A beige, an ecru.
Yeah. He would ask for one in grayish. Do you know that color?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, so we were on our way to Warped Tour.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Well, that's what I thought. I thought we'd tell little parts and then get into big side bullshit. We went down and it was cool because I was like, damn, I'm booking an Airbnb like 6 months ahead of time. We got one. And it was funny because one of the Tuesdays with Stories fans reached out to me. And this happened a lot. Like when Blink-182 came to Boston 2 years ago, I was like, fuck, these tickets are so expensive. And I tweeted about it. Mm-hmm. And then a guy reached out to me and he's like, I'll get you floor tickets for free. And I went, and now that I think about it, that's how the Nintendo Switch 2, I'm like, this thing is too expensive. That's weird. Anyway.
I guess gotta tweet some stuff.
yeah. But this Tuesday's
mortgage is out of this world.
He reached out to me on Patreon, and he asked me a question or something, and he's like, hey, by the way, if you ever come to Washington, D.C., my family has some houses you might be able to stay in. And I was like, oh, cool. So, I got an Airbnb where you could cancel it the day before. And so I reached out to the guy like a month ago, and I'm like, hey, man, we're going to Washington, D.C., it's going to be these days. And he's like, we have a couple properties. He's like, let me talk to my mom about her house. And I'm like, oh, you don't want to stay in someone's house? And he goes, no, she's there 25% of the time, and, she rents it out or whatever. I'm like, cool. A couple days later, he writes back, and he's nice guy if he's watching this. He's like, hey, man, he's like, I got you a place. Really sweet. He's like, I know what you need. 2 rooms, one for Brad, one for you and your girlfriend. He's like, it's perfect. And I'm like, awesome. And I'm like going to the Airbnb website and my mouse is hovering over cancel. And he's like, you're just going to hang out with my 70-year-old grandfather. He's cool. He's not crazy. He won't do anything weird. And I was like, oop, I'm good, buddy boy.
Yeah. Like, Brad hates the youngins.
Yeah. No, we go there and then we bring him to Warped Tour instead because we get confused.
I feel like the door opens.
And I love it.
The grandfather opens the door and then it's Brad and the grandfather looking at each other and then they start doing the mirroring with their hands. Yeah.
But yeah, it was great. The Airbnb ended up being great, though. It really was like nice king size bed here. Mm-hmm. The hardest bed I've ever felt in my life in Brad's room.
It was.
Oh no!
It was like a piece of. I'm not kidding. Brad's like, feel my bed, and I'm like, it was like this desk.
Yeah,
it was insane.
Sure was.
There was an Airbnb that my wife and I stayed in London the first time we went there.
Yeah,
and we were there for 2 weeks in this Airbnb. And the bed was the hardest bed I've ever slept on. Yeah. And I've told you guys about like some of the night. Well, you know what? I take that back. That's not the hardest. Some of the beds on the ships when I was doing cruise ships. Oh my God,
I bet.
Those were genuinely a nightmare. So bad that a pianist, this tiny Japanese lady, who's an incredible pianist, like she's like next level. You know what I mean? Like she trained in at the Royal, I can't remember now. Yeah. But like just incredible. Yeah. She's performed for kings and all these things. Tiny Japanese lady.
Yeah.
And she said on like the second night on this ship and I'm with her, she almost like called the entertainment director and was like, "You have to put me in a regular room. I can't sleep in this bed.
Wow.
It's too unbearable."
That's fair. That's fair for her to ask that.
And another guy on that same ship was just like, "I can't do this.
Yeah.
I can't do this."
Did you think about that?
About what?
About like asking?
No.
How come?
Nope. Don't want to make waves. No pun intended.
Yep.
You know?
Are you gonna go do some more cruises?
I don't know.
That last time was a rough one.
yeah.
Yep.
Certainly no cruises for a month.
But that's the
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
is it was abnormally long.
Yeah. No, that was crazy. But yeah, and you just never know what kind of bed you're gonna get in that kind of thing. But there were mornings I would wake up and like basically my left side of my body was like numb because it just cut everything off, and I'm like, this is awful. But yeah,
I will say
terrible.
Brad has bad sleep.
Yeah.
Slept for 9 hours on one of those beds.
Well, here's the thing. I'd gotten terrible sleep 2 nights in a row, and then we stood in the sun, and I watched people dance and mosh, which is exhausting, and we did a lot of walking, and so I was bone tired, and we got home, and I slept pretty hard. Oh, I took an Ambien as well.
Oh, there
And I
you
was,
go.
Out.
So it was funny. So we got there and like Friday was it was getting ready for like Donald Trump's birthday party or something. You know what I'm talking
Yeah, they
about?
did.
Yeah,
Stupid parade.
officially it was a parade to celebrate the Army's 250th birthday, but it coincidentally fell on Trump's birthday weekend.
It was
Yeah.
funny too because then Warp Tour was that weekend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is a real.
I think it's funny too if you like the take of if you were critical of that parade. The people that I saw this online of people being like, "So you hate our military? You hate our military?"
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You know they're not allowed to take my house, right? Yeah. That's in the Constitution. They can't make themselves sleep in my house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, a lot of
No,
soldiers complain about my mattresses. Was that lady back again?
Yeah.
Jeez.
No, but it was a really funny thing where it's like 50,000 people that are into punk rock
Yeah,
are in
yeah.
Washington D.C. at the same time as this thing.
Yeah.
But Natalie was like, "Let's go see the monuments and all that stuff," and we did. Everything was like barricaded, where you could get into those places, but you had to walk like a mile and a half around it. And here's what I think sucked. And we saw families with strollers. Parts of it would be open, and you'd go in, and you're around like the pool.
So World War II memorial.
Yeah, and the Lincoln thing. And so they would go in,
The Lincoln thing.
Yeah.
and they would close and lock the gates while you're in there.
Oh boy.
So you'd have to, like, literally, right?
Yeah.
We
You
saw,
have to
and
go
like a
the
family,
the length of the reflecting pool to get around.
and like we saw a family go back up to the gate with a stroller, and they're like, "What? We came in this way."
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, "This is insane."
And we were like, ha ha, suck it.
Which is weird too because it's at the Lincoln Memorial, famous for emancipation.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you think they would like let people out?
You
there.
would
Yes.
think.
But yeah, so
Nope.
we walked all those places,
Yeah.
and
Did you go and you laughed at the wall?
Yeah.
yeah.
The Vietnam War.
We did
Yeah.
all the stuff that happened in my Gibby montage last Thanksgiving.
Okay, all
My,
right.
my grandfather's name is on one of those things. He's like, "Yeah, it's on one of those."
Yeah.
He told me afterwards, and he's like, "But there's so many names, you'd never be able to find it." I don't forget which wall it is, but so we were walking super far, like 6 miles, to get around and do all this stuff.
Yeah.
It starts pouring, like downpour like crazy. Luckily, we're close to this like covered tent. There's no Ubers, there's no lifts because all the streets are closed off.
Yeah, yeah.
We found the scooters. All of them. It's like you can't. This is a no ride zone.
Wow.
It was insane. So we're stuck under this tent, and
And then we saw a tank and it was idling.
So we figured.
yeah. Well, I did think about it because we saw golf carts, and I'm like, I'm so close to just trying them. I'm
Yeah,
so
yeah.
close. Who would even know? But we're under this thing, and we're like, all right, we want to go out to eat. We're starving. Closest restaurant is a 23-minute walk. There's no way to drive. There's just no options. We're under the tent. Downpour. Like, we'll just wait 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
Water is like collecting on the ground under the tent.
And finally, we're like, we got to do it.
Just gotta go get wet.
And we walked for 25 minutes in the soaking fucking downpour. And it was like hell.
Yeah.
It's like testing your mental, like barrier, like basically how crazy you can get.
Did you? I like how we just talked about the Vietnam War Memorial Wall,
And I'm like,
you're
this
like,
was hard.
It was raining on the sidewalk for 20 minutes. Did you
just
go
like
to,
my
did you go
name
to
is.
Ford's Theater?
I'll also say it wasn't 20 minutes because it was 12 minutes to the restaurant, but 23 minutes back to the metro station where we came in. And it was like, well, what do we want to do? Do we want to go home and
Right.
get dry, or do we want to go to the restaurant? And we're like, well, the restaurant's closer.
I think it was 25 minutes from where we
initially,
started.
yes,
yeah,
yes.
and then we
But
got
from,
to the
from the
thing.
tent. It was
So
12
did
minutes.
you go to Ford's Theater?
We did not.
Oh,
Yeah.
I did that when
That's
I was
cool.
a small child. When I was a small child, to not really understand, I got to see a big bloody pillow across the street. Isn't that cool?
Yes.
Scary.
And you know what stuck with me forever? The
blood?
fact that he was too tall for the bed, and so he had to lay awkwardly diagonal in the bed, and when he died.
Wow.
And that stuck with me. And then I became a tall man,
Yep.
taller than Abe.
Well, there were no California kings.
Wait,
at
with
the
or
time.
without the top hat?
Yes.
Well, if he puts the hat on, I get one too.
Well, how tall was he?
He was 6, I want to say 4.
Yeah. I think
So if the top hat was less than 3, you're beating him.
Yeah.
What if it was a bowler?
Then I think we would probably be even.
Yeah.
It's probably like history.
What if he's down on his knees? Smooching it.
Smooching it. Easy B.
And you know what? I would get down on mine, and I'd be like, Abe, you did a wonderful thing. This is on behalf of everyone. And I would do but very officially.
Yes.
Did you know?
Yes.
Speaking of Abe Lincoln,
Uh-oh.
this
Honest
is
Abe.
a true thing.
About Honest Abe. A true thing about Honest Abe.
Honest Abe. It is not proven.
Yeah.
However, there's a biographer and a bunch of people that are like, yeah, probably. Abe Lincoln, possibly closeted gay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Mary Todd.
I think you just had an epiphany that doesn't make sense.
She has a man's name.
Oh, God. I mean, I can't think of a more beard of a woman than Mary Todd.
Well, I was gonna say, like, have you ever met another Mary, like something Todd as a woman?
Do you think Todd was her first name?
Yeah, that's
No,
that's
I think
her,
Todd is a weird name for a woman, a middle name.
It's not. her
No,
middle-
it was a maiden.
Yeah, it was
name.
her maiden name.
Oh, Mary Todd.
Yeah.
Todd is still a little bit strange as a last name. Can we agree on this?
All right, I'll give you that.
Sure. I rest my case. No, but there's real talk of this, and there's some of his history before getting into politics. He lived with this guy in a cabin that was like his best pal.
Oh.
For years, one bed
And they listen
for years.
They listen to the Goofy movies.
yeah. But that's a true thing.
That's
Isn't that
cool.
crazy? And what's funny is like letters to that guy, years and years later.
Dear Todd.
He's married to his wife. He had signed those letters like forever yours, but then to his wife, he would write like
Let's keep pretending.
Cordially.
like dearly or something like that, and it's so crazy.
That
and
is crazy.
He often would go to like his little summer home thing. He had a cabin that was out in the woods, and there's some discussion. The reason this is important is because this is before the Secret Service.
Okay.
His assassination is why the Secret Service came around. He notoriously was like, I don't want a lot of security, when he was the most at-risk president of all time.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this was during the Civil War. And
Right.
he was like, no. And he would ride from D.C. to that little summer place. He would ride alone at night and go there. But it was always like, interesting. Maybe. And it was always when Mary was out of town. And then he would go hang out there. And it's believed by some that was because that's where he was away from prying eyes and he could like live his life there. There's a lot of examples of it, but it's super interesting. But realistically, if that's true, which I'm not saying it is true, I think it's from the information I saw, I would tend to be like, I wouldn't be surprised.
Right.
Right. But if
Yeah.
that is true,
Yeah.
it's wild to think that his shirking of security so he could have his private life
I see.
led to being exposed at the theater
Right.
to an assassination attempt.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy. It's funny, too,
Yeah.
because thinking it from the other perspective of someone who is confirmed gay at that time, they probably would just hide it like that.
Oh yeah, no, yeah,
You know what I mean?
like there was no real.
That's what I
like,
mean.
being out at that time.
That's
Yeah.
what I mean. It's
Yeah,
like you
it
would be
was-
doing that.
Yeah, there was what's the word? It's a bachelor
Yeah.
for life.
Yeah.
That kind of
Confirmed
thing.
bachelor.
Confirmed bachelor. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when that's why they would say it that way. Confirmed bachelor.
Yeah.
We can't confirm anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought it was really interesting.
That
There's
is
more
interesting.
stuff there. There's a biographer that wrote a lot about this, and there were certain like men that had a close relationship with Lincoln, and it was like a thing. It's a very interesting.
Maybe that's why the Lincoln
idea.
Douglas debates were so. Maybe there was some sexual tension
Ooh.
on stage
I like
between
that.
Lincoln and
And
Douglas.
I'm not even saying any of this of like, ha ha, Lincoln
Right.
was gay. I think it's fascinating, if anything.
Well, the chain of events is really fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It really is. So sorry for that very strange sidebar.
No,
but
that's cool.
we're talking about DC.
We're talking about, we're definitely talking about, yeah.
But yeah, being an elementary school kid looking at his bloody pillow,
Yeah.
and being told how he died uncomfortable on a too short bed, and then I grow up to be a 6'7" man. I'm like, huh, you and me both, buddy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, and hiding that you're gay.
Yeah. Oh, Kalina's out of town.
Takes the
No, Chuck and Brad, I don't need any help. Just me alone.
Just play the Weird Al polkas over the phone. So,
This one's about because he's fat. All right, thank you.
that wasn't a polka one. So anyway, yeah, so we had this insane walk through the rain.
Yeah.
Went to this restaurant. The host guy was the mumbliest, bumbliest guy in existence. We're like, hey, 3 for dinner, please. And he goes, well, do you want to sit outside? We probably don't want to sit outside. You know what I mean? We're pretty full, so do you want to go upstairs and sit in the karaoke room? I don't know. You can look at it. And I'm like, what the fuck? The thing is, I'm already mad.
Yeah.
I'm already pissed.
Well, we're hungry. We're soaking wet.
You had your own personal Vietnam moments ago.
I was ready to fucking use
Yeah.
my rifle with the knife on it and just pick him up.
It's called a bayonet.
Thank you. But yeah, so we were pissed.
Yeah.
We went upstairs. We're looking around. We come back down. I'm talking to the guy, Brad and Natalie, and they're like, the outside must be closed in. He's not going to
Yeah,
offer
it's covered
in
and-
this pouring rain. We go down. I'm like, so the outside's covered? He's like, some of it. And we're like, well, he's like, all the windows are open. So I'm like, what are you? And he continued to mumble through his thing. Whatever. We finally got out of the rain. It was fine. When I left, the mumbling guy was there, and I noticed he had a finger splint on, meaning he broke his finger recently. And for some reason, I'm like, I love this guy.
Yeah.
I don't know why that changed it.
Tech deck injury.
I just was like,
That was a career-ending
Yes.
knuckle sprain that he got. Yeah.
now I'm a host at this restaurant.
His hand was laying on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thumb is smacking on in pain, going, I'll never skate again.
A tiny stretcher.
It was
The funeral was beautiful. Wrapped in a glove.
But yeah, so we had our awesome Airbnb, and we were
Yeah.
able to take the train into Warped Tour. It was an awesome time. They did a really great job in terms of figuring out the stages and the bands and stuff like that. It was a really different feel than the original Warped Tours. I think because they set them up and broke them down every day, everything had to be simplified.
Yeah.
But this was like real headliner sets with like, pyro and cryo and all that different kind of stuff.
They were there?
Yeah.
Yeah, cryo.
The wrestlers? Pyro
Yeah.
and Cryo?
Yeah.
They had a
Whoa.
match. They had a
Cry-
match.
By the way, in case people don't know, cryo is dried ice, and that's how they shoot like the smoke and stuff like that in the air. But
Well, that's his signature move.
Yeah.
yes, but Sublime played with Brad Noel's son, Jacob Noel, and I was like, whatever, we'll see Sublime, but whatever.
Now that's a weird last name.
Yes.
Noel, ooh, just
Yep.
like Todd, it's the opposite. Man with a woman's last name,
What's
Yep.
happening? Yeah.
but
It's also Leon spelled backwards.
they were
These are all in my conspiracy books, folks.
they were amazing. Sublime was like,
Yeah.
we were like floored by Sublime.
They were great. Also, Jacob Noel walked out does song one, and then Chuck turns to me. He's like, "This guy probably has sex with so many women."
Well, he's muscly. He got the crazy hair. It's blonde. It's moppy. He's singing Sublime. He sounds just like Bradley Noel. What is his tour bus like? What are you thinking, Ray?
I feel like you turning and saying that is your brain's version of I want to have sex with that man.
That was how I took it.
Yeah. Oh, this guy's got me real. Oh, I'm
going
linking up right now.
I'm going through the crowd with my horse.
Excuse me. 4 years. Oh my god. I don't know. I didn't know how to turn the Gettysburg Address into sexual.
Tough. Yeah. But they were great. And then Natalie likes All Time Low. And I'm like, I don't know All Time Low, but we'll go see him. It was crazy because she's like, Warped Tour famously has two gigantic...
Famously?
Yeah. Well, they have two gigantic stages next to each other so that when a band ends, the other band immediately starts. Yeah. And there's not time in between, which is awesome. And a lot of times when we go to Warped Tour, we'd stand in between and just kind of maybe shift a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh,
that's where the original waffling started for Brad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Natalie's like, there's a barricade in between. And I'm like, that's not what they do. I'm like, they want people to go back and forth. She's like, I don't know, there's a barricade. I'm like, that's really strange. All Time Low, the lights went down for them to start and everyone cheers. They had a full marching band come down. They had a big, it was a big thing. The full marching band goes on stage. They come out. All cheerleaders come out. And for their first 3 songs, they're completely choreographed with this huge amount of cheerleaders.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, this is I've never seen anything like it in my life.
Yeah.
And I was like, how do they organize this? Then they say we grew up right down the street. And I'm like, that's how they did it.
Yeah.
Because they're from here. So they get this gigantic advantage in terms of doing this big stage show. But it was awesome. I think it went really, really well. I feel like Brad was more comfortable than we expected.
I took a Xanax before we went.
Oh,
a lot of pills.
That's helpful.
A lot of pills. He's popping Ambien, popping Xanax.
Two pills.
Uppers, downers.
I'm sorry.
Uppers,
you know
downers.
what? Fiber supplements, multivitamins.
Imodium.
Nope. The nerve pain for my weird sock injury.
My sock injury.
How many socks did you have on?
Just one on each foot that day.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
So it was a great day. All the bands, we had so much fun. A lot of smaller bands like Streetlight Manifesto I haven't seen. A lot of great bands. And then we're leaving. We went to McDonald's afterwards, and I pulled one of my tricks, and I wanted to let the Funbears know about this great trick. So if you go to McDonald's, right, and you don't want to seem like a crazy glutton to the people at McDonald's, I pulled this, remember?
You did.
It worked out really well. I ordered my food, and then how you want more food than a regular person eats sometimes? I do anyway.
Sure.
And I was like, I go like this. I'm like, I'll get this, this, and this. And I go, wait, hold on. What do you... Okay. And I also...
Yeah.
You pretend it's for more people in the car. And Natalie and Brad are just looking at me when I pull that. You know what I mean?
I figured out immediately what he was doing. And I applauded the genius.
Yeah. Next time you should go in to order, right? Muss up your hair a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tilt the glasses just a little and come in and be like, I need 11 Happy Meals, please. Like you are just...
like I'm a babysitter?
Yeah, you've got so many children waiting in the car and you're like, can you just please go as quick as possible? Thank you very much.
Vomit on the shirt.
Yeah.
Pacifier on the wrist.
Sure.
That's good.
You can have all of that in a go bag in your trunk whenever you want to order food.
I'll get one of the pizza things, the sleeves that you put the stuff in. It keeps the pizza warm.
Yeah.
That's where I put the Happies.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't like that you call them Happies. That sounds predatory. You know what I mean? Scatter a couple of Happies out in the woods, see what shows up.
Give me another.
This one's a 6-year-old. Look at it. Wow.
Give me another Happy.
I got to spread these Happies.
But yeah, and day 2 was pretty similar. Great time. We had the train. We had a lunatic on the train that we thought was going to kill Brad. That was fun.
He didn't.
He didn't do it.
He didn't.
Brad's like...
And that lunatic's name? J.D. Vance.
Yeah.
Wow.
Day 1 was humid, sun blocked up.
I killed a Brad in Washington.
Yes, they were throwing pouches of water, like 4-ounce pouches of water.
It was pretty good. They just tossed them in the crowd so that people had water.
And and I, one guy threw one back, and it was a great throw. I caught it perfectly, and we made eye contact and thumbs up. It was a real bro moment.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
felt great. Nice,
Aped out a little bit.
Yeah, nice. Just a little bit. I was like, hey Chuck. That guy probably has so much
Yeah,
stuff.
that guy probably fucks a lot.
And then day 2, we're there. It's overcast. No need to apply sunblock. A little rainy.
The deadly mistake.
No,
Brad.
He was all right.
we were fine.
Okay, good.
And then it started
Tell that to that melanoma on your neck.
It started to drizzle like with 2.5 bands.
We're like, "That's okay.
We
We're
ponchoed up,
fine."
and then just it wasn't a downpour, but it was a steady rain
Yeah.
for the rest of the night. So we're walking out. There's you step on. They had flooring.
Yeah. Okay,
things.
so they had this. I've never seen it before. Probably this thick in squares, almost like a thing you stand on at like your sink or that people stand at behind a counter. But they were so spongy.
Yeah.
and they were filling with mud
Oh.
around them, like
Yeah.
inside the cracks of how they fit together.
So you'd
Yeah.
step on them and mud would shoot out.
it was
no.
insane. It was almost like designed as like a part of a Disney
Oh, it was
ride.
like a little diarrhea walkway.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah.
It was insane. But whole show was great. Less than Jake murdered, and it's cool because I feel connected to them. Krista Makes, the lead singer that we talked about in the other episode, he was the first big guest we had on our podcast, the last
Yes.
one.
Yeah.
And then the drummer of Less Than Jake is the guy who signed my band to his label. So I kind of feel like a little connection to
Yeah,
them.
they hate me, by the way.
Yeah.
They fucking hate me. Less than
Well,
Jake, because I started that band, and they are pissed about it. And legally, they can't do anything about it. So I get to do more than Jake anytime I want to.
Yeah, there you go.
And I just think if you look at the flyer
Yeah.
for both shows,
Yep.
Yeah.
which one are you going to?
Yeah, that's
Right.
true. That's
So
true.
less than Jake, more than Jake.
Yep.
And then my
First-
friend spun off, and he just did Jake. And everybody was like, Goldilocks, this is the one.
Yep.
First senior discount concert ever. Guess what our name was?
I don't know.
More Than Jake.
Oh, look at that.
Because there was a piece of shit in the school named Jake that we hated, and that's why we call ourselves
Oh,
that.
shit, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Why'd you point at me when you said Peter?
No, I just want to let you know.
So yeah, second night, the rain wasn't great, but we're all in it together. We have
Yeah.
ponchos. It wasn't terrible. We got to the metro, made small talk with the people in line behind us. What was your favorite thing? That kind of stuff. Got on the train, had seats. This pregnant woman's giving us the stink eye, and we're like,
I didn't notice it.
I'm just kidding. There was
There was someone who wanted to sit, though.
there was a woman in a wheelchair. We were not in disabled seating. Woman in a wheelchair is like, what am I supposed to do? I can't stand the whole way.
and I'm like, give the wheelchair.
There's empty seats, and she wanted to sit with them, and the man who was with her was like, just sit there, it's fine, and it wasn't a big deal, but she was not happy. That might have been the first night. Whatever, it was no big deal.
She listens to the show, man.
She might.
But yeah, it was great. Like Bowling
Yeah.
for Soup was there, and like the lead singer of Bowling for Soup has helped me like do a prank on my old guitarist, so I felt connected to him too. So there was like this kind of we played with Streetlight Manifesto. We almost got into a crazy fight with them, but still I like them and I'm supportive. But it really felt like a cool little family thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Everyone was great. I saw the Suicide Machines, which I rarely get to see because they're in Detroit and they were kind of defunct for a while. But really, an awesome.
Yeah.
It's tough because I really feel like going into an insane like Washington D.C. is going to be hot as fuck. It's going to be humid. It rains a lot, and all this stuff, and like you don't know how to navigate it. It's like it really could go south. Fast.
Oh, sure, yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a swamp.
Yeah, exactly.
I said that the second day. I'm like, as we were stepping through these mud geysers, I'm like,
Yeah.
who builds a city on a swamp?
It's funny.
And I'm looking around for anyone to approve of like my knowledge of the United States Capitol.
Yeah,
Nothing.
yeah.
Nothing.
It was funny too because like I don't know geography so good as you might remember from Alaska.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't realize that our friend Katie lives there and Lindsay from the kidney thing lives there.
Kidney Lindsay.
Kidney Lindsay, Kidney
Yeah.
Dixon.
Yep.
But she's like, Lindsay's like, are you here? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, I live like so close to this. And I'm like, oh man. And so we met up with her and went to the zoo. And then we met up with Katie for dinner.
Yeah, we went to
That's
the
great.
Smithsonian National Zoo. Chuck was freaking out. He's like, that duck has a blue bill.
It was
like,
insane.
Oh my God.
I got 1,000 pictures of this. Have you ever seen a duck with a baby blue bill?
Probably.
You wouldn't remember a baby blue bill?
Nope.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Not top of mind immediately having someone yell it in my face right
Yeah.
now. No.
Watch this. What color is a duck's bill?
Orange.
Blue.
No, only
See?
one.
See? See? Gotcha.
Yeah.
I got a lot of pictures. I'll show you
All
afterwards.
right. I don't need to see the album. Baby's big day out in DC.
I'll airdrop.
So we're at the zoo, and we were gonna go into the Amazon area or whatever, and there's a guy in front of us. He's like, they got a bird in there. It flies right up to you. You can touch it.
That bird scared the fuck out of me.
All right, he turns around. He's got a black leather vest on, and this is not a joke. This is not a bit. Patches, pardoned January 6th insurrectionist.
Oh my God, I didn't see that. I would have taken it. That's almost as good as the bluebill duck.
And I was like, how do I react to this guy? Because he's just excited about birds, but also he's a POS.
Yeah.
And a PPOS, because he's a proud POS.
Right.
And I'm like,
a PPPOS, pardoned proud POS.
the hum goes on forever. It was. I did not know how to react in that moment, but
I wouldn't either. I didn't even see that guy.
So we went inside, and then later I saw, he's with his family. Like, this is like a grandfather.
Yeah.
And
That's
I'm like,
fucking
do I call
crazy.
him a traitor in front of his family?
Yeah.
Because he's admitting to it.
Yeah.
But to what end?
I gotta be honest. I didn't even think a person out there would wear something like that. I would think if you got away with that, you'd be like, "Holy shit, I won the lottery."
No, man.
They're proud.
My man. Like that's a whole big part. Dude, you're talking about the movement of people that have fucking 10-foot tall flags waving from their trucks.
Yeah.
That are all these things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is the group of people that are the merch people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They love it. There's a fucking store
Yeah.
in the town that I live in.
Yeah.
That's like,
yeah.
the Trump store.
I know. I've seen. Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
And they sell Trump paraphernalia, fireworks, and probably fidget spinners. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And tech-techs.
Yeah. But those are no, made in China, Chinese fingers only. But it is a thing. So I think, of course, they're gonna wear with pride.
Yep.
This thing.
And they believe they were right, despite mountains of evidence to the contrary.
I think they know they were wrong. And I think they'll just say forever they were right.
Yeah.
It's
Interesting.
and I'm like, it's just a guy out at the zoo, and so part of me is like, wow, the things we have in common, and I'm like, no nuts to that guy.
Yeah.
We should have drop kicked him into the lion pit.
Yeah.
Shit.
It's a tough thing. I feel very conflicted about, like, do we embrace? Do we push away? Do we try to teach? Do we try to
I think
separate?
The second night the first night, because the parade was Saturday, we got off the train, and there were some other girls who had gone to Warped Tour, and one got off the train and one didn't. And so she's, the one on the platform is like, what do I do? And we're like, call your friend and tell her to get off at the next stop and just come back, and you meet her here. It's no big deal. And there was a guy.
That was hilarious.
Guy in a red hat, a MAGA hat, who was like, "Is there some concert y'all to go see? MCR, My Chemical Romance?" And we're like, "No, it's Warped Tour." And I'm like, I don't want to engage with this guy who is dumb enough to travel for this stupid birthday parade.
I know. There was a girl in the crowd too, and she was all punk rocked out, whatever, bleach blonde hair, black Make America Great Again hat. And I'm like, what do you do? And a bunch of bands spoke out beforehand, and they were like, if you support Trump, don't come see us. And they said that. And so I'm like, man, that person must feel very strange, but
it's all weird.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into
no,
all
I don't
of
want to get
that
into it either.
stuff.
No, I don't want to get into it either.
That's
But
why
I do think
when we
it's-
opened the episode talking about, like, Brad's 49% birthday, I was like, I've got a story. I've got a story to bookend, and it's this guy's vest.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to say about the show is just that we saw Machine Gun Kelly, and for me, going into this, I'm like, Machine Gun Kelly is just like a scrawny white guy that Eminem obliterated when they had a beef. He made this song called Kill Shot, and it was like insane. And people joke that it's like Eminem killed him so bad that he changed genres of music. But he had started doing punk rock and like pop punk, whatever, with Travis Barker, who I really respect, one of the best drummers of all time. And I never was like, oh, I'll check this out. But my buddy Matt Kelly, who I really respect his opinion on music, he was like, the album's good. The album's really good. And I was like, whatever, we're here. He's going to perform. The set was incredible. It was this giant rundown pink gas station. And the drummer was like on top of it. It was really, really produced. And they came out. They sounded good. I'm like, wow, they're pretty good. Then they went into this instrumental. And it was incredible. I was like, I can't believe I'm blown away by this right now. And I'm like, that's cool. That's what Warped Tour does, is they provide you this insight into different bands that you don't know. And the original Warped Tour, I will say, every band was on a lottery. So even if it was the biggest band of the day, they could go on at 2:00. So you went there early to find out. They're not going to do that now.
And to get the best tech decks.
Yes. You're not going to do that now because it's a little bit more. Festivals like this, like 2 days, are kind of different. So they did have the biggest band's headline. But it was a really cool opportunity to get exposed to different things. I mean, even Avril Lavigne was there, and I'm like, I'm not interested in Avril Lavigne. But they sounded awesome. They were the band was, I mean, also when you have a person that's like a singular person, when they go on tour, you get like the best musicians in the world as their backing band.
Right.
You know, that's just what happens.
Yeah, Neil Peart was working on the album.
Yeah,
I like
Avril
that.
Lavigne.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But yeah, it was
And
great.
how could you say one of the best drummers in the world when we already heard that Brad adored Def Leppard, and that guy could do it with a hand tied behind his back?
or otherwise, candy cat.
Yeah.
But yeah, we drove back. We talked all through the night. Brad listened to my best of songs. It was great. It was really fun.
Yeah, we got back to Chuck's house at like 11:30 p.m. and I'm like, all right, I'm driving back to Rhode Island. Partly because I didn't want to deal with the traffic during the day of Tuesday.
Sure.
And it was...
And Natalie had asked you to leave at that
She
point,
did.
right?
She-
was kinda like-
well, asked is the wrong word, but...
True. She didn't ask. Chuck came into the room and told you that she had asked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't hear her. I thought she had been asleep.
Huh. Did you actually see
know.
Natalie though?
Now that I think
Yes.
about it. Oh, it's funny.
No, there was a jacket.
Yes.
It was a
funny.
jacket. With,
She left the room a couple times.
Yeah.
I
So-
think I just missed her.
So we had talked about a different episode. Daniel Desmond, one of the big Funbears,
Oh, yeah.
was there, and he posted in our Facebook group that he saw, he met me and Brad there,
Yeah.
and he said, and I can confirm Natalie is real, which I
Yeah.
thought was great. That was really fun.
Yeah, that's fun.
But it's great. I love to see Brad getting out of the house, getting out of the state, experiencing a thing that he never would experience unless I forced him.
Going back to what some are calling the scene of the crime.
Yes.
Washington, D.C.
I'll say, you want to talk about crime? So we get to our rental.
Yeah.
And they have a code on the door.
This is Ray will love this.
And so Chuck's like, all right, you press Schlagi or Schlag or whatever it is.
Schlag.
Then the code, and then the door unlocks and you go in. And we're like, all right, cool. And so we do that, and we're going to leave the first night to go, sightseeing or whatever. And I'm like, oh, I'm entering the same code. It's not locking. And Chuck's like, I'll do it. Or I tried it, then Natalie tried it, and Chuck's like, I'll do it. Test it. He's like, it's locked.
Yeah, I'm
and
pulling
so,
it. It won't open.
So,
What were you doing?
yep. Well, you figured it out faster than we did.
No, he's making
yeah.
a jacking off
Yeah.
joke.
So
Right?
every
Yeah.
every
All
time
right.
every time Chuck's like, I'm the only one who can lock the door. I've got the magic touch. I'm
I
like,
keep doing it, and they keep trying, and they open.
I'm like, we're doing the same thing, and so we're leaving for the concert on Sunday.
no, we're leaving for the last time.
no, 'cause it was not the last time.
It was because we were like, oh, we're going to get in trouble if we leave and the door's unlocked. And
Chuck hadn't been locking the door. He typed in the code and then pulled the door, which
Instead
was
of turning
pushed to
it.
open.
Yeah.
And so we just had the place we were staying was unlocked from when we arrived until and so Chuck's like, all right, I want to take a video to show that this doesn't work. And so he came up and I was like, dit, 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 and I twisted the thing and it actually locked.
for
and
the
we
first
tested
time in the
pushing.
whole
Yeah, yeah.
weekend.
So
I almost had it.
yeah, in the sense that you did press the same numbers that all of us have been pressing the whole time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, the idea of like going over the access report and it's just entry codes over and over and over again. And at no point did we twist the thing to lock it. But
figured it out.
We figured it out.
And you didn't get killed. You're doing
I
great.
don't think
See,
so.
that's what I say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about locking a door? Are you really like, I don't
I'm
know.
for it.
Really?
I'm for locking
like where
a door.
I've been to where you live many times.
Yeah.
You nervous in that area about locking your door?
I'm not nervous. I lock my door. Yeah.
I don't really lock my door, and Natalie doesn't like it.
Yeah. I think that's maybe not a great idea.
How about this? Last thing of the podcast.
Ever?
So
Yes.
if you were up at this, like let's all agree, if you were going out to take out the trash, you wouldn't lock the door behind you.
No.
Okay. What is the maximum amount of time that you're going to be outside your house and you keep your door unlocked?
If I leave the house.
Really? Get in your car. Car has changed it.
Yeah.
Walk around the block.
Yeah, lock it.
Yeah.
Build a snowman.
I'm on my property. No.
Thinking of more.
Oh, build a snowman in your next door neighbor's yard.
I can see the house. I'm fine. Yeah.
If you were going to go up the street and get a Starbucks and come back, lock?
Yeah.
I'm with Ray on this, but
That's not weird.
I'll say this: I was raised like my dad is. I'm mowing the lawn, lock the door.
That's not.
Yes,
That's
right. But
not
that's how I was raised. So
See,
my
we're
idea of
tipping in either direction
my
here.
idea of a compromise is I'm leaving the house, lock the door.
Can this change it? Last question.
Okay, good.
About this specific
Yes.
subject. My house, my townhouse in New York, there's no
Deadbolt.
well, there's no anything that you can
It's
do
not a
with
twist. You have to do a key.
you have to use a key on both sides. So
Okay.
unlock to get in, key to lock it. That adds a little bit of what are we doing here? So if I'm getting a Starbucks, I'm not going through the whole rigmarole.
It's just a key.
This whole rigmarole.
That's not a rigmarole.
It's like, when
Are you kidding? That's the definition of a rigmarole.
when I was leaving their house, I'm like, hey, don't forget to come down the stairs and lock the door because I can't lock it. And the idea of like having to bring my keys downstairs, I'm like, that's a little rigmarole.
That's a rigmarole.
But if I had, if I were in that situation, I would have a key chained to the wall right there.
Right.
Boop.
Right. Yeah.
I was gonna say that does
Unrig
change it.
the rigmarole.
We have our first floor is like garage, mud room with the door, whatever you want to call it, with a coat closet and everything. Then you go upstairs to the main. So going downstairs to lock it, that's a rigmarole. It's the key plus the stairs. That has to be a rigmarole.
Well, just lock it when you go in.
I'm having fun. What if I'm carrying a bunch of stuff?
Put it down.
I have a bad back.
You would have to do that for any kind of. If you're carrying a bunch of
Make
stuff,
Natalie
regardless of whatever the locks are, you would have to put stuff down to lock it.
Otherwise, your option is an auto lock, which makes things way worse.
What about if it's the day?
I mean, is there any answer you will accept other than you're right?
I think as long as we say the key and the stairs are a rigmarole, I'm happy.
I won't do it.
I've said my piece. Having to bring your keys, rigmarole. Having a key near the door, rigless.
Hey Siri, definition of rigmarole. I'm just interested. I might be wrong.
What does it say about keys and stairs?
You want to hear the craziest thing? It says a lengthy and complicated procedure, and then it says sentence. He went through the rigmarole of securing the front door. I'm not.
Well, this is ridiculous.
No, what about that?
This is ridiculous. I think
Great.
we need to change the definition because if you can you say the beginning part again?
A lengthy and complicated procedure.
Yeah. So it just put Chuck Staten
Yeah.
right there. I think you right now are being a rigmarole.
The idea that he went through the rigmarole of securing the front door, that's an interesting coincidence.
Well, we don't know how many steps were involved in this.
When I think of in that idea, I'm thinking of the like the stereotype cliche scene in like a New York apartment where there's 50 locks that you got to do. Now that is a rigmarole.
Let me read the rest of it. If it's on the first floor, it's just a key. You're just getting a Starbucks.
Yep, your hands are filled with tech decks.
Breaking the bit. That's strange that was the definition.
Sure,
Yes.
yeah.
Very strange.
Yeah, well, it's listening to us.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a quick turnaround.
Yep.
It's fast.
Yeah. But yeah, that's our fun time. And I was, like, again,
love it.
I was happy to see Brad having fun in public and doing
Yep.
things.
Yeah.
I
Keeping
had
him
fun.
young.
I think the secret is to keep me drugged up.
You was on a lot of
That's a
drugs.
path to success with a lot of things.
Mostly bowel-related drugs. Now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Man, I was working my way back out through a crowd to get to it, and I'm like, "Excuse me, I'm so sorry, diarrhea emergency. I'm so sorry. I have to really. I think I'm gonna poop." And
That's a key. That's a key to getting through a crowd.
It wasn't necessary to say those things
Well,
because
no.
I was going out of the crowd.
Yeah, I think
people were happy to let me pass.
I think that's a great phrase to go through a crowd. I have diarrhea.
Yeah.
I have diarrhea. You know mine? My sister fell down the stairs. And I'm on the phone. I always say that.
Oh,
remember
okay.
you've heard me say that.
Dude, he did it in a filled parking garage.
Yeah.
And he's like, I got to back out. And he's to another car. He's like, my sister fell down the stairs. And the guy's like, oh, okay. And like backed out and let Chuck exit.
Oh my God.
It was something else.
You
So,
can use that. That's a Chuck hack.
so folks, if you want more Chuck hacks, Don't know why you would. Send us an email, funbearablepod@gmail.com, or find us on socials @funbearablepod. Please like, rate, share, subscribe. Do whatever you need to do with the podcast. We appreciate each and every one of you.
Do you have any hacks?
We'd love to hear your
We
hacks.
talked about a Ray hack. We have a Chuck hack. We're going to get a Brad hack next episode.
How complicated is your door locking situation? How do you feel about locking a front door? Are you with Ray and Brad, or are you with Chuck, or does the Chuck stand alone? Could be.
I could be in the Dell.
For Ray Harrington and Chuck Staten, I'm Brad Rohr saying thank you so much, and we're sorry for being Funbearable.
My little sneaky to get through a crowd.
I'd love to hear this.
As you go, Mason, 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 and you just keep
so you
doing
sound
that.
more panicked each time.
Mason, Mason.
The panic.
Yeah,
That's the key.
If you see any kids with their backs turned to you, run up, whip them around real quick, and go,
You're not Mason.
You're not Mason. Mason. And you just do that as much as possible.
That's pretty good.
Does it have
Yeah.
to be Mason, or could we do, what was it, Alistair?
Abacus.
They'll
Yeah,
never buy it.
that
Yeah.
doesn't
They'll
never buy it.
It's too
Abacus,
fake.
but it's
Mason, Aiden,
Yep.
Addison,
Yep.
Madison,
Yep.
Maddie, Addie. Those are all great for this.
Abby?
No. Terrible.
We were having a nice fun time, and we were doing some goofs, and then I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is sometimes.
Abby.
Jesus.
Gross.